What up, my dudes, and welcome back to your horror movie recommendations reviewed part 23. So guys, this week I was able to watch 5 movies that you guys nominated me to review, and these were all really good. Yeah, and the majority of them, I would say 80s, 90s, and then the newer ones. So it's like two newer ones, one more newer ones. Anyways, get ready for it. It's gonna be good. So I am starting off this week with the movie Dolls from 1987. That was recommended by Galloway and Tony Konopka from YouTube. So I had done a top 10 or top 5 doll movie list. I don't even remember. And Dolls was not on my list because I never grew up watching it. I always saw the cover. I was obsessed with the cover and I thought it was probably super scary and just never got to see it. So finally, guys, thank you for nominating it because I finally watched it and oh my God, is it great. So Dolls is such a fun movie. It's not super scary, but it's scary enough. Like if you're scared of dolls, yeah, it's kind of weird. But it has this wonderful, it's just so well made. It's just like a great story. You got like this family, the little girl's stuck with her dad and like his wife or whatever, and they're driving, there's a storm that hits and they're like, oh man, and they get stuck and they're like, well, where are we gonna go? And of course there's this big spooky house. So they go up to this big spooky house and there's these 2 old people that are like, oh, you can come in and sleep here. We got tons of rooms. It's a spooky big house, right? Like every horror movie. But it was so charming. Like everybody's character was developed really well. And so they start staying there and then another group of people come in. You got this guy who picks up like 2 hitchhikers that are like punks, basically just trying to like rip them off. And they're all like, blah, like being super disrespectful. But the 2 old people are like, it's okay, they can stay too. You know, it's an awful storm tonight. Anyways, they find out that this old man is a doll maker, which cracked me up because like they take him down to like his little studio and it reminds me so much of like the situations I've gotten into where people are like, you do what? And I'm like, come on down. And people are like, there's a lot of faces and heads. Where's the bodies? It made me smile. I could relate to him. And yeah, so basically this guy has tons of dolls everywhere. He gives the little girl this one elf looking dude. I forget the type of doll it is or whatever, puppet, and basically this little guy's like looking out for her. Shit starts going down and everyone's like, oh, she's just a kid, she doesn't know what's happening. She's like, no man, like I just like watched this like girl get like freaking tortured and like there's blood everywhere and you know her parents are just shunning her off. And then like the random other dude, like she trusts him and she's super young and he's just like, okay, like I'll come with you. And it's like, oh man, there really is blood everywhere. And like of course you have this whole nuance of like, why is my daughter talking to some strange other dude? So like the parents are getting like feisty. It's so funny. Like again, the script was done really well for this. Point is, it's these dolls, you know, it's these dolls that are just freaking going nuts all over the people in the house. And it's such an adventure. It's such a spooky little movie. I thank you so much for making me watch that. I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything. But basically, you're watching these people trapped in this house with all these spooky dolls, and shit gets crazy. Yeah, definitely a great film. So thank you guys for nominating that one. That should definitely be on the top doll list. So yeah, you guys knew. Next one, 976 Evil. Ooh, from 1988. So this was recommended by Owlfarm from Imgur. Let's be real. 976 Evil was actually directed by Robert Englund, aka Freddy, right? Yeah. So I had no idea until I popped it on. And what a silly little movie. Like super 80s. You basically have this dude, he's like cool dude, and like his like cousin who's kind of like super nerd and like he looks out for him and stuff. And what happens is there's this like thing going around in the streets, like check out your horror scope. Good play on words. So people call it, and it has like this like running tape voice kind of on it, but what it says ends up coming true. So there's this weird like, what's happening? Is this real? Is there not? You get a cop that starts getting involved in it. Like, who has this person been speaking to? Like, friggin' fish start falling out of the sky. Their mom's like, oh my God, it's the sign of Jesus. It's like, what's happening? Anyways, 976 Evil. Yeah, and it's very, like, 80s in the sense that you have that you know, the teen who's like super nerdy. You have the cool guy. You have like the hot girlfriend kind of thing. And basically this nerdy guy follows in the other dude's footsteps. He finds the number finally. He makes the call. And he's basically selling his soul to like the devil. Yeah. And like he's able to like make bad stuff happen to people. Anyways, turns into a demon and like this movie is just super, super silly. It's not scary by any means, but it's a fun watch. Like it reminded me a bit of like watching Brain Scan, if that makes any sense. There's like that weird kind of, I don't know, with Brain Scan, it was like put in the game, call it up, you know, same kind of vibe. And of course, like, because they're like teenagers, they're in school, they're dealing with punks and stuff. Anyways, the effects are wicked, like super good in it. Like you get to see his transformation happen, and you know, like he's scratching up people. Is really good. So thank you so much for nominating that one. It was really hard to find. I don't even know where it's streaming. Maybe Tubi. I think it was streaming on Tubi. Anyways, super great movie. So on to the next. Next we got The Fear from 1995. Again, I think this came from the doll, my doll post, guys. So The Fear was recommended by Goats, Goats from YouTube. Thank you. So this one, I had seen the cover growing up too. It was always a spooky wood dude. Spooky wood dude. And I had no idea what the hell was going on with this movie. I'd never, you know, again, it wasn't something that we rented in my house or whatever. Popped it on, and so basically it's this kid who's like a student who's trying to be like a psychologist or something. Anyways, some kind of, and he takes all these people to his cabin, and he's doing like an experiment on fear. And he has this giant creepy wooden doll. Don't ask me why. A lot like Pin. You guys were completely right. It's like life size, but it's this wooden doll just sitting in his living room, and they're kind of like going one by one. Let us like share what scares us the most and tell it to the doll, right? It's like, so you have like this weird kind of vibe to it. Also, this movie keeps going back to like almost like this childhood trauma and like memories that this guy went through. Because again, everyone's going through their fears. And also this thing is all like possessed or something, and like basically throwing them into their fears and situations, and like they have to like fight through it, not succumb to it. He's creepy. You guys are completely right. For like a doll film, like this thing is terrible. Do you see this in the window? Like, what is he doing? Get back to your chair in the living room. Also, why would you keep this in your house? I have so many questions. But this movie was fun. It wasn't like, I don't know if I'd ever buy it, but it was definitely a creepy ass doll in this movie, and the concept was there. It really was. Yeah. Thank you for that. All right, next, They from 2002. This was recommended by Rybread91 from Imgur. Thank you. So They, it's weird because I remember there was a moment in time. You guys remember The Others? And there was like 17 other movies that were all kind of like the same, like What Lies Beneath. They all like came out around the same era, and it was like, which one's which? Anyways, They, 2002. I don't remember watching this growing up, so this was a treat. This movie was a lot about, so you have this girl who has this boyfriend, and she's basically, she goes through like almost like night terrors, similar to like the whole incubus type thing. Like she wakes up and like kind of like sleep paralysis demons and shit in her like her brain, and basically she starts going back, and she's like, you know, I haven't had these attacks and like moments in a while. So she goes to see like her old therapist, and he's like, well, I haven't seen you in a long time. She's like, I know, I'm back, it's happening. So you know, he kind of was, I don't know, trying to talk it up with her. She finds some old documents, and it's videos of her when she was a kid getting tested for her sleep things, and she's always been a nutcase when it comes to it. And what happens is she'll like wake up in like the middle of a room, and even when somebody's trying to help her, like while she's sleepwalking or whatever, she's reacting. And obviously that's not okay. Like if you're like reacting with a knife at somebody, nobody wants that. So this movie is about her trying to like get past that again. It's almost like it just comes back into her life, and it's a very interesting movie. Again, I'm watching this movie. Is it aliens? But no, it's not aliens. And also, this is a Wes Craven film, right? I didn't even know. But when you like go deeper into it, it's all about like that whole parallel universe, you know, like what happens in like our subconscious state. Like, are there actually demons? Are there like, is it just in your head? And this movie, like it felt a lot more of like a thriller. And the demon itself, oh man, they really put you in some spooky situations. I think one of my favorite parts of this movie, it's not even her, it's one of her friends who's also like dealing with it or whatever. She's in a pool, and all of a sudden the pool lights all start to go out. And it's just the way the ambiance is built up in this is wicked. It sucks that the monster in it itself, it reminds me of a face hugger-ish. But it's CGI, right? They probably had to. They probably didn't know what else to do. And also 2002, right? That's when effects started getting used like a lot more. But it would have been cool if it was like practical. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, it was good. It was a good little movie. And it was pretty spooky. It's one of those things where you're like, oh my God, like, I hope I wake up from my dreams and I hope they're really not real. It was one of those. All right, last one, guys. Super stoked about this one because this one kind of blew my mind. So, Woman from 2011. This is recommended by Galloway. Dude, oh, you got 2 on this list. Shake my fist, but thank you. This one was phenomenal. So, Woman from 2011. This was streaming on Shudder. So good. So good. I had no idea what to expect. I did not read up about it prior to. You basically have May. If you guys remember the movie May, that actress who's phenomenal, May, she's in it. She plays the mom. So it's a mom, a dad, a son, and 2 daughters. And they look like they have this beautiful little, you know, huge home. Beautiful little family. Basically, the guy's out hunting. And he finds this woman who's, like, savage. Like, well, what do you call that? Not feral? Kind of like when you see a feral dog, like a feral human. I think that's the way to say it. Maybe? A wild woman, basically, who has not been civilized. And in his mind, he's like, I'm going to take this girl and clean her up. And I'm going to civilize her. Because who do you think you are to take this girl from wherever the hell she is having a good time and bring her home? Anyway, so he does. It has this quirky way of incorporating this scenario, right? Like, already you're kind of like, okay, but, like, he's not psycho off the bat about it. Like, it's kind of like, no, we're going to help this girl. And, like, the family's all like, all right, okay, Dad, that's an interesting, like, don't you think you have enough on your plate? I think the guy's a judge or something. He has, like, a fairly big job. Anyways, you keep seeing more and more in the film that the dad's a full-on jackass. And, like, basically, like, pressure washing this girl. That scene, guys, I watched and I was like, oh, I felt for this girl so much. And you have this connection between the older daughter and her. And it's kind of like this beautiful, like, although the girl can't communicate, she's very much, like, cannibalistic. She has this respect for her. And I think, you know, the whole time, you know, if you're in the wild and shit, you have, like, spidey senses, you know, like crazy senses, what do you call it? Like, wild senses. But she could sense that, you know, her and the daughter are on the same level, whereas her family's a little off. And this movie's crazy. I don't want to spoil anything about this film. This film was such a ride. And, again, for a newer movie, it really got me off guard. It was really freaking worth watching. Very much a revenge film, if that makes any sense. And, like, I literally had no idea how far this movie would go in certain ways. The awkwardness was there. The great effects were there. The story's fantastic. And I don't know, like, again, May did a fantastic job being, like, this, like, mom who's very submissive, but trying to like, finally shift, you know, and be like, I need to get out of this. It's crazy. Yeah, you have to see it, guys, if you haven't. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. All you guys, thank you so much for sharing these wicked 5 movies this week. It was It was a little bit of a roller coaster with them, I won't lie. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wicked week coming up. And if you're subscribed, thank you. And if you guys aren't, yo, get on that. Be a part of the spooky wagon. It's always good times. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Because tomorrow's Movie Monday. And you bet your butts you're getting another one thrown at you. Alright, have a great night. Bye.